So over to you, Aaron.
Great, thank you very much for coordinating and putting together this WebEx. It's great to speak with the audience that's out there that's looking to grow their eBay sales. Appreciate everyone's time today. Realize we're all quite busy, but hopefully we'll be able to give everyone some ideas to grow their eBay revenues, and also some tips and tricks and things and mistakes to avoid when they're selling on eBay and expanding onto the eBay platform. So very much appreciate everyone's time. And I do have to be honest, the picture that you're seeing out there is about 3 years old, so I do have a few more gray hairs than what's showing up, just for full transparency. So let's jump right in. Like the folks from ChannelSale said, feel free to use the interface to ask questions at any time, and we'll do our best to get to all the questions. And if we run out of time, my email address will be on the last slide, and you're certainly welcome to email me with questions as well. So we'll be talking about ways to grow your eBay revenues, and specifically talking as well about biggest mistakes merchants make when expanding onto eBay, particularly merchants that are selling on other platforms. Again, hopefully you'll pick up some good information today and find it a valuable use of your time. So first, we'll just talk at a high level about the eBay platform and reasons to consider selling on the platform, and then we can talk about certain mistakes to avoid when selling on the platform and ways to increase your sales once you are selling on the platform. So at a 5,000 foot level, eBay has 170 million active users, which definitely makes us one of the top 2 marketplaces in the world. We have 380 million downloads of our mobile app, which definitely makes us one of the top 2 marketplaces in terms of mobile commerce and mobile leadership. And eBay's really been investing in mobile commerce and mobile technology for many, many years now. We've gone from a site that was primarily PC-centric, and now closing in on 50% roughly of all sales that are happening on eBay are being transacted on a mobile device. So mobile has really become a huge focus of the eBay business. Another interesting fact about eBay, about 81% of all items being sold on eBay are new merchandise, brand new items. Fixed price items is our primary focus now. So about 80% of all sales are brand new fixed price items in most categories. There are a few exceptions, but that would apply to most categories. And about 67% of all items are now being offered with free shipping. And what that basically means is that most merchants are building the cost of shipping into the price of their products, so that they can say that they're offering free shipping, and that does give merchants a boost in terms of the way that the eBay search algorithm looks at your listings. So I mentioned that we have a very strong concentration and focus on mobile, and that we have about 380 million downloads. And so the other important point to note there is about 61% of all sales now are at least touched by a mobile device, and roughly half of all sales are being transacted on a mobile device. So again, major focus in mobile. And really the way to think about mobile is that we are really very complementary to your existing eBay, your existing e-commerce strategy. So most merchants tell us that the majority of sales they see from eBay are incremental new customers that they haven't seen from Amazon or other marketplaces or their own website. And a big reason for that is our strong leadership in mobile commerce, which kind of makes common sense. It's probably virtually impossible for any individual merchant to go and get 300 million downloads of their app. So for that reason, and because consumers are so mobile centric now. If you want to capture the sales from those hundreds of millions of customers that are using their mobile devices as their main source of purchasing, then you really have to be selling on a marketplace like eBay, since we have so many of those mobile customers. So, if there's any one slide or piece of information that I would say is probably most important in terms of growing on eBay, and specifically mistakes that Amazon merchants, or just really merchants in general, make when expanding onto eBay. So we can probably strike Amazon and just say biggest mistakes merchants make when expanding onto eBay would be, and I'll go through these pretty carefully, because this is really the meat and potatoes of what's some important points that hopefully you'll take away from today's call. So the first thing is not automating processes around eBay. Our experience tells us that if you're not using a listing tool like ChannelSale or some other listing tool that has strong features and functionality, and you're not automating your process, then there's a strong chance that orders will fall through the cracks. And when orders fall through the cracks, that's when merchants tend to get in trouble on eBay. So if there was one single biggest mistake that eBay merchants make, it's running into out of stocks. And so, for example, if you have 5 of a certain item in stock and you suddenly sell all 5 of that item on your website or on another marketplace, it's critical that you have some sort of automated process that then sends a note to eBay saying, drop my inventory down to 0 on that item. Because if you forget to do that and you don't have a system in place that automatically does that, then suddenly an eBay customer can buy the item and then you have to cancel the order. And on eBay, that's probably the biggest mistake a merchant can make, is running into out of stocks. And the reason for that is that all orders on eBay are essentially considered prepaid orders. So if the customer is able to buy it and pay for it, they see it there, they buy it, they pay for it, they expect you to be able to ship it out. And if you then have to cancel the order, then you also have to refund the customer because they've already paid you for the item. So it's a major inconvenience to the customer. It's a bad buyer experience. It's the exact opposite of the type of buyer experience that we want to happen on eBay. And so that's the reason our defect ratings and our seller ratings are very, very closely tied to avoiding and essentially benefiting merchants that can avoid out of stocks. So in terms of other things to think about as your and mistakes to avoid when you're selling on eBay. So, oftentimes we'll speak with merchants, and the merchants, let's say hypothetically they have 1,000 SKUs that they want to list on eBay, or 10,000 SKUs they want to list on eBay. And they'll just assume that the price that they want to offer is going to be the winning price. And I would say that that's a very strong misconception, and probably another reason why some merchants tend to be not as successful as they could be on eBay. So for example, if you have 1,000 or 10,000 products and you're trying to get those products listed, as a very temporary measure, it would be fine to potentially match the price on your website to the price on eBay. But in terms of a long-term success and really what's needed to have long-term success, you need to be looking on a daily, weekly process to look at the pricing of what's happening on eBay. We are a very competitive marketplace. At any given point in time, there's over 1 billion items for sale. And if you're not using tools like Seller Hub or other third-party pricing analytics and pricing recommendation tools, then you're really kind of flying in the dark, and nobody likes to fly in the dark. So, one other small tip or trick that a lot of merchants either don't know exists or just have never played around with is you actually have the ability on eBay to do a search for a product and then do an advanced search specifically for sold listings of that product to see what items have recently sold and what the prices are. So in addition to the Seller Hub, pricing analytics and recommendation tools, we also have just the ability to do a basic search and to filter by sold listings. So that's one small, hopefully helpful tip that you can take away from today's call. So just taking a breather for a second. I don't think I see any questions yet, but feel free to use the interface if you do have any questions, and we'll definitely do our best to get to them. Does the channel sales team see any questions yet?
No, Aaron, not as yet, but I'll feel free to send them.
Great. So jumping to the next item, product titles. So currently on eBay, you have up to 80 characters for a product title. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a few minutes, but at a high level, the product titles is one of the main key drivers to the eBay search algorithm and to matching up good listings to what the customer is searching for when they go to ebay.com and do a search. And so if you're not using up all 80 characters, then you're not really optimized in terms of getting the maximum amount of exposure to your eBay listings. And so, again, we've seen this mistake time and time again, especially with merchants who have thousands of products, where they will essentially just do a download of all of their product titles either from their website or all of the product titles they get from the manufacturers directly, and they'll assume that those product titles are going to work for them on eBay. And I would say that is another major mistake that merchants make, because oftentimes manufacturers especially will only provide a very, very, very basic description of their products, and that description won't necessarily match up to the key search terms that a consumer would use to find that item. So those are, another key piece of advice that we would give is to optimize your product titles. The next mistake that you probably want to avoid is incomplete product descriptions. Product titles are important and product descriptions are important. If you have access to a product description, you should ideally provide it. In this day and age, with the huge growth that people are seeing in e-commerce, there's a shift away from going into retail stores and buying. But that shift really only works if the customer is able to make a fully educated buying decision and really read the same type of information that they can find in the store and looking at the packaging, or find if they were talking to a sales rep in the store. That same type of information is needed to really optimize an e-commerce experience. So that would be another one. Next would be promoted listings. So roughly about a year ago, eBay introduced promoted listings. If you go to ebay.com and do a search for most products, on page 1 of the search rankings, you'll see promoted or sponsored listings. And so this is an optional tool. It's not a requirement for eBay sellers, but many eBay sellers have seen increases in sales by using promoted listings. And the basic premise of a promoted listing is that the merchant is bidding for additional real estate on page 1 of the search rankings. The bid amount starts at 1% and goes up from there. But the nice thing about eBay promoted listings, maybe compared to some other marketplaces, is that you only pay on eBay for the promoted listing if the item sells. So let's say you bid 2% on a particular item, and let's say your item appears on page 1 of the search rankings as a promoted listing, you only would pay that additional 2% fee if the item sells. So it is a way to get additional real estate on probably the most important page of real estate, which is the search results page. And again, you only pay if the item sells. So it can be especially helpful if you do have additional margin on certain products, or maybe you're getting a certain rebate from a manufacturer on a certain product, or maybe you need to clear out certain products. it can be a great way to get additional real estate and drive additional sales. And so we'll talk more about that. Global shipping program is another important program at eBay. Global shipping program has been around now for several years. And the basic premise of the global shipping program is that you list the item on eBay.com in the US, assuming the item is eligible for global shipping, and there are certain items that are not eligible depending on height and weight and certain product categories. And that's all predetermined. You don't have to do any research on your own to determine if an item is or is not eligible for global shipping. But assuming you are able to activate the item for global shipping, the beauty of global shipping is that it basically instantly allows you to expand your international presence and sell to customers in up to 100 different countries. There are no additional fees for global shipping program. You pay the same fees for global shipping as you do for a US-based transaction. So the example we could give is you would pay the same fees to eBay, assuming you're using the global shipping program, for an order that is going to Slovenia as you would for an order going to Nebraska. So the fees are the same to you, the merchant. The international consumer does pay additional fees for the tariffs and customs and international leg of the shipping, and all of that is seen in real time by the international consumer, so they're able to see exactly what the tariffs are, what the customs fees are, what the international leg of the shipping is going to cost. They're able to hit buy it now. And then you, the merchant, the other nice thing about global shipping is you're only sending the item to a special warehouse in Kentucky. So there's a special warehouse that's run by Pitney Bowes in Kentucky. You send the item to that warehouse, and then at that point you are done. So again, you do not have to fill out any tariff forms. You do not have to deal with the international leg of the shipping. So for many merchants who want to expand internationally but don't necessarily want to make a big investment in infrastructure on their own website to sell internationally, this can be a great way to capture more international sales. I've even seen some scenarios where customers are actually pointing international inquiries to their eBay listings because they realize how easy it is to use the global shipping program. So for example, if you're a US-based customer, US-based merchant, and you get an email inquiry from a customer in, let's say, Costa Rica, and you don't want to fill out tariffs forms or customs forms or deal with the international leg of shipping to Costa Rica, you could just simply reply saying, here's a link to my eBay listing. You can go ahead and buy it there, and then in real time that customer would see the tariffs and customs and international leg of the shipping cost. They'd be able to buy it on eBay, and you would only have to, you as the merchant would only have to ship the item to Kentucky, and then you would be done. We talked earlier about running into out of stocks, so we won't need to mention that again, but that is the #1 way to get in essentially big trouble at eBay and potentially get your account restricted. So that's a key reason to automate your processes and consider using some of the third-party listing tools out there like ChannelSale to automate your processes so you don't get in trouble for out of stocks. The next thing is number of images and quality of images. So 1,000 pixels on the long side is the recommended quality of image. And the reason that this is so important is we mentioned earlier that eBay, probably our primary focus at this point is on mobile commerce because it now represents probably just over half of all eBay sales. And so being mobile centric is really critical to being successful on eBay and also just in e-commerce in general. And so customers on mobile devices, want to be able to clearly see the images you're using. And so you need higher quality images. And so where this comes into play historically is oftentimes merchants receive, especially in certain categories, they'll receive images directly from the manufacturer. And unfortunately, many manufacturers don't realize that quality images are really critical in e-commerce. And so we've seen lots of scenarios where merchants, to really become successful both in e-commerce and on eBay, need to actually take their own images and use those images. And this can also benefit your business from the perspective of your e-commerce business. So there's multiple reasons to use high quality images. And then number of images. So I'll share some examples in a few minutes on number of images and just images in general, but obviously more images is better than less images. So, in this day of e-commerce, customers want to see what you're selling, and they want to see it from every angle. Like one example I could think of off the top of my head would be if you're selling a ring or earrings, it's great to have a picture of the earrings, but how is a customer supposed to know how the earrings are going to look if they can't see it on an actual ear? Because the earrings could be 2 centimeters big, or they could be 12 centimeters big. And so, a customer that's really wanting to make a fully informed buying choice would probably like to see a secondary photo of the earrings on somebody's ear, not just the earrings themselves. So that's just kind of a common sense example of why more images, especially images that might show the size and scale of something, or images showing the ingredients of a certain product, those are especially critical in certain categories. So just taking another breather here, I still am not seeing any questions yet submitted through the interface. See, we have gained a few more attendees, which is great. Are there any other questions of the ChannelSale team seeing yet?
Oh, yes. Actually, in fact, we have a couple of questions, one from Sitare, but what I could propose is, towards the end of the presentation, we can have her to, speak to you directly.
Sure, that sounds good. Okay, well, so moving on. So in terms of the next item, kind of big mistake to avoid, especially on a go-forward basis on eBay, would be not including item specifics, as in UPC, MPN, manufacturer part number, etc. So eBay has a major project underway to kind of fully build out the eBay product catalog and make it easier for consumers to search for items using UPC and MPN. And so if you include the UPC and MPN, then you will get more search visibility than if you don't. And certain categories are now requiring UPC and MPN. It's moving from a nice to have to a must have, and it already has in certain categories moved to a must have. So very critical to include item specifics, UPC, MPN moving forward. And in the future, that will also enable listing new items on eBay to become even easier and more seamless. So there's also that advantage to merchants in the future. So the next item to mention and mistake to avoid is incorrect handling times and not uploading ship tracking within your SLA. So on eBay, every product on a product by product, listing by listing basis, you have the ability to set a SLA, service level agreement for. So the SLA is how quickly you're able to ship the item out and provide ship tracking. And I realize in certain categories, ship tracking may not be economically feasible, but we'll mainly focus on the categories where ship tracking is economically feasible. So focusing on those categories, if you say you have a 2-day handling time, then it's critical for you to actually meet that 2-day handling time at least 95% of the time, including uploading the ship tracking information. If you don't do that, then you're not able to become a top rated or top rated plus seller. And we'll talk more about that in a couple minutes. And top rated sellers definitely have a larger advantage when it comes to placement within the search rankings, as well as other benefits, such as getting a discount on final value fees and other items. But eBay in the last year has continued to focus on really promoting top-rated sellers, and will probably continue to do that. So very important. It's better to kind of be safe than sorry on this particular one. So, if you feel like, hey, I can only, on a certain product, I can only achieve a 2-day SLA 50% of the time on that particular product, then you should probably move it to a 3-day SLA. And vice versa. If you're meeting a 2-day SLA 100% of the time, and 97% of the time you're actually achieving a 1-day SLA, then you might want to move your SLA from 2 days to 1 day, because that could benefit you as well. So just very important on a product by product, listing by listing basis to consider what a realistic time frame is, because that is part of the eBay seller standards and defect ratings. And one other point I would make to that would be around drop shipping. So we realize that drop shipping obviously has become more and more popular over the years. And so in some cases, you might be selling an item on eBay, but a manufacturer might actually be drop shipping the item for you. So in that case, we would recommend really understanding what that manufacturer's timelines are, and being a bit conservative. So if the manufacturer says in most cases we're able to ship it out within 3 days, well, then maybe you want to start with a 5-day SLA and work down from there. I guess a general rule of thumb would be always better to under-promise and over-deliver rather than vice versa. We've definitely seen many merchants on eBay over the years getting in trouble for over-promising and under-delivering. So the next thing we'll talk about is Promotions Manager. So Promotions Manager is a tool to run promotions on eBay. And as we all know, many customers these days, I'd say almost all customers, likely expect a discount if they're buying multiple items and spending a larger amount of money directly from one particular merchant. And so Promotions Manager is really a way to both give customers what they expect, as well as get customers to buy more than one item from you. So it's a tool to encourage customers to buy more, and give them some sort of discount for doing so. And you will see oftentimes on eBay, as you look through listings, that we do tend to give mention of whatever promotion a merchant is running, and there's definitely advantages to running promotions on a regular basis. So the next thing would be policy violations. At any given time on eBay, there's 1 billion items for sale. And so obviously we do our best to monitor the site and expect people to do what is right, and expect people to follow the rules. And sometimes sellers are not either legitimate sellers and they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, or sometimes there's sellers that are legitimate sellers and just don't fully understand the rules. And so it's just really important to understand the rules before you fully scale up on eBay. So for example, if a manufacturer has authorized you to sell on your website and authorized you to use the images on your website, but if that manufacturer has some policy that says you're not allowed to sell on eBay, and then you go and take those images and put them on your eBay listings, then that manufacturer has a right to file a Vero claim. And Vero is eBay's intellectual property protection program for manufacturers and brands. And it's basically meant to protect their intellectual property. So if you don't have a right to use that photo, for example, then they have the ability to submit a Vero claim. Or if you are not even an authorized seller for a certain manufacturer and you just went to their website and downloaded a photo of an item without their permission, then that's clearly a violation of intellectual property rules, and you could be subject to Vero policy violations. So very important to kind of know what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. Also duplicates. So eBay, wants to have a marketplace that's easy to navigate and easy to use, and so it obviously does not benefit anyone to have, especially from a buyer perspective, to have one seller selling the same exact item and having two different listings for it. And so we do have systems in place to monitor for duplicates, and that is a reason some merchants get in trouble. And then the third thing I'll probably mention is off eBay sales. eBay has developed a marketplace, and there's fees for using that marketplace, and it's a clear violation of eBay rules to be looking to generate sales on eBay, but then try to find a way to cut eBay out of the equation in terms of paying the fees that are owed to eBay. That would be our basically our version of shoplifting from eBay. And so, it's very important that even if a customer suggests taking the transaction off of eBay, that you don't agree to do that, because we have had merchants who've been kicked off the site for doing that, and we are aggressively enforcing that. So the one sale that you might make and the one fee that you may avoid could lead to a permanent restriction on eBay. So it's probably not worth the effort, and something we would strongly suggest avoiding. And if you see or know of customers doing that, we definitely recommend reporting that. So the last couple items, one would be not responding to customers in a timely manner. So if a customer submits a claim and says, hey, this item arrived broken, just like you, if you put yourself in the customer's shoes, would want a quick response and quick resolution to that, we would expect the same. And so sometimes we do find that merchants, maybe who haven't been selling on eBay much lately, or maybe they spend a significant amount of their time on other marketplaces and just kind of list items on eBay and kind of forget about them, and then they forget that they have some open cases to deal with. So would strongly suggest avoiding that type of behavior, and really, if you do get an open case or a reason for a refund or something defective that occurred, to resolve it as soon as possible, because that is part of the seller standards and something we would ask that you be doing. And so to really achieve that top-rated seller status, you need to resolve those cases quickly. And then finally, I included a link to the top-rated and top-rated plus requirements. If there's one link that I'd say pay special attention to, it's that, because our top-rated sellers, based on my 5.5 years of experience at eBay, generally have much higher sales than other sellers. So the more that you can pay attention and monitor and make sure you're trending toward top-rated, likely the more successful you'll be on the site. Looking at the time, I think we have a couple minutes left, and then we'll open it up for questions. So just a couple of concrete examples that might help you think about being successful on eBay. So one example would be on the product titles, kind of good product title versus bad product title. So as you can see here, a good product title would describe all the contents of the item. A bad product title, like I mentioned earlier, might be just what the manufacturer gives you. So in this case, if you're selling a toy, include all the components of what's in the toy box, rather than just assuming that the manufacturer is going to do a good job and give you a fully optimized product title. Same thing with the second example around photos, especially around products where a customer would want to see the ingredients or expect to see the ingredients or want to see additional photos because it's going to help them make a buying decision. you know, those are common sense things, and we understand it takes more time to upload photos or to use a third-party tool to add photos, but generally speaking, more photos equals, and higher quality photos generally translate to higher sales. So we talked about promoted listings earlier. So this is just some additional information. We do have the ability to do promoted listings in bulk. So if you have 20,000 listings and you want to bid 1% on all those listings, again, you only pay for a promoted listing if the item sells, but we do have the ability to do that in bulk now. And then we mentioned global shipping earlier, but just to refresh that, you can sell in 100 countries. It's very easy to use. And again, you're only shipping the item to a special warehouse in Kentucky. And then, you know, eBay and Pitney Bowes, our shipping partner, handles the rest. Last item I'll mention. So eBay has a team called the Large Strategic Merchant Program. Our team generally works with merchants who are doing larger volumes on other marketplaces and have thousands of SKUs that they're considering listing on eBay, or maybe have thousands of SKUs listed on other marketplaces, but have a very small number of SKUs listed on eBay. So, you know, hypothetically, an example might be a merchant that has 10,000 SKUs on Amazon and 100 SKUs on eBay. Those might be opportunities that our team can assist with. And so I included my, again, I'm on the business development sales side of the house. So I included my contact info and my email address. So if you're a large merchant looking to dramatically expand your presence on eBay, not just to increase sales, like if all your listings are already on eBay and you're just looking to figure out ways to increase sales on eBay, that's not necessarily something I can help with. But if you're a large merchant with thousands of SKUs or significant sales on other marketplaces and most of your listings are not currently on eBay, then, you know, definitely please reach out. And I can attempt to get you approved for some special support that our team offers. If you are a smaller merchant and but you're not yet selling on eBay, or the majority of your items are not yet listed on eBay, we also have other programs for smaller merchants. So feel free to reach out via email as well if you're in that scenario, and I can get you connected with the right people internally at eBay. So hopefully today was helpful and you were able to take away some good information. I think now would probably be a good time to see what questions we have out there.
Thank you, Andre, for the wonderful presentation. And getting our first seller online, that's Sitare. So I'll just try to unmute her. Hello, Sitare. Hello, Sitare. Can you hear me?
No, let me see. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for your presentation. It was very helpful. I just have actually a couple questions. My first question is for global shipping. We do ship international, and most of our customers complain because of the high shipping fee. And they actually offer us, if you're using global shipping, I never know how it works, so that's why I haven't joined. So if they're asking, if you're saying we could ship their items to Kentucky and then they will take care of it to ship it to international, so does the customer pay domestic fee, or how do we charge them for international?
So in the case of global shipping, and just generally in the case of eBay, as I mentioned earlier on the call, about 67% of all listings on eBay are free shipping, which basically means most merchants, especially larger merchants, are just building the cost of shipping into the price of the products. Okay. So best practices would be to build the cost of shipping to Kentucky into the price of your products, and offer free shipping. And then the customer would pay the international leg of the shipping, and any tariffs and customs fees. But again, you don't have to quote them that. We quote them that in real time. So you just need to price it to Kentucky, And then once it gets to Kentucky, your responsibility in terms of shipping the package out goes away. There could be additional responsibility if it winds up being defective in some reason, if it shows up broken or something like that. But in terms of getting it to Kentucky, and then letting eBay and Pitney Bowes handle the international leg of the shipping and the tariffs.
Okay. I do have my items $35 and up, free ground shipping. So basically, I just ship it to Kentucky and then send them a tracking number. Then from Kentucky, you guys will handle it then.
Exactly. Yeah, the team in Kentucky, they open the box, make sure it is what you say it is, and then they handle the tariffs, the customs, and the international leg of the shipping. Okay. And if it, and one other interesting point there is, if it winds up, making it to Kentucky and gets scanned in Kentucky, and then it disappears into the middle of the ocean, or it gets stuck in customs for a month, you would have gotten paid in that scenario. So eBay and Pitney Bowes are really taking a lot of the risk off your hands as well, because obviously we've all heard of packages getting stuck in customs or disappearing, but as long as it makes it safely to Kentucky, you are protected.
I'm out of that. Oh, perfect. That's great. And so I just go on eBay and go global shipping and just sign up for it. And when I sign up with it, would it show in my shipping option that they have a global shipping so they could choose that?
Yeah, any international customer would be able to see it. There's also lots of settings within global shipping, so you'll have to determine what settings you want. For example, most customers just enable global shipping for all countries, but you do have the ability to pick and choose which countries as well. So, for example, if you're able to, I've had scenarios where a merchant is able to offer better, cheaper, faster shipping to Canada. So maybe they don't use global shipping for Canada, maybe they use it for the other 99 countries.
Okay. Can I choose global shipping and also my option shipping, like US Mail or UPS? Or is it if I choose global shipping, or that's it for international?
Yeah. So I don't have the product manager for global shipping on the phone. So I would say, if you want to email me, I can send you the link specifically for global shipping that has all the frequently asked questions on it. And then if there's additional questions, I can get you connected to the product manager.
Okay, definitely. That would be great. I have two more questions. I don't know if you have time for it, or if anybody else has a question. I have two more. Should I ask now or wait? Or
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. You talk about the drop ship, and actually, we have a warehouse, and I have 12,000 items. And customers, I have my regular customers that they do drop ship, and they send the PO, this and that. But I recently seen it is happening on eBay. The customers buy it from us, and then after they pay out, and then they send the email and said, "Can you ship it here?" Because it is a drop ship. So I've been using that service for my eBay customers. But is it any fee that I could charge them? Is it any option? Because I do charge drop ship for my customers, for my own customers. But it's for eBay. Can I use drop ship and charge them more, or no?
I wouldn't be able to speak to that. Again, I could really only speak to listing an item on eBay and what happens from that point on. So if we're talking about something outside of listing items and selling items directly on eBay, then we're talking about a different subsection, segmentation of your business that involves drop shipping that doesn't actually involve eBay. I wouldn't be able to really follow where you're going with that. So we'll have to take that offline.
Okay. And the last question I have is, we do upload, like I said, we have 12,000 items, and we do upload every afternoon to eBay. And that's why actually I choose ChannelSale. So that's basically is going to help us a lot. And they're working on it. We should be finished in 1 or 2 days for the eBay. But right now, as of right now, I have a duplicate listing. I don't know why. And I'm using a file exchange. This just happened for past 2 weeks. And I have no idea what we are doing wrong. Same old thing that we have been doing all these years, but I'm having duplicate listings. So I'm assuming hopefully after ChannelSale take it over, so all my duplicate listing will be gone, correct?
That's a very specific question to your business, and obviously I have no visibility into the file that you're sending to us or to ChannelSale, so probably not an ideal question for the broader WebEx community here. So I would suggest taking that to your ChannelSale representative and having them really do a thorough scrub of the file to make sure there's no duplicates in there.
Okay. Okay, sounds great. Thank you. Thank you for your time. That was a great presentation. And
Sure,
I will
thank you.
definitely send you email for the global shipping.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sitari. And I will get in touch with you with regards
Okay.
to the questions mentioned.
Thank you.
So just one or two questions more. So Aaron, we have Vicky who asked a question. What are the top rated seller requirements? Or how do we find that out?
Yes, I included a link in the presentation. I'm assuming ChannelSale may be either saving this presentation or recording it. So here it is, pages.ebay.com-help-sell-top rated. And you can, one other little tip or trick I always like to mention, I'll give Google a little plug. You can always Google just about anything about eBay. eBay and Google do have a relationship, and they, I think, do a pretty good job of helping eBay customers who are looking for some information on eBay. So feel free to Google eBay top rated program, and you can usually find, and the same would apply for eBay global shipping program, eBay promoted listings, eBay Vero program for intellectual property. You can pretty much find anything you want on Google relating to eBay.
Sure. Thanks, Aaron. Another question, with regards to the promoted listings, does eBay provide any kind of a reporting tool that would help with the statistics of the promoted items?
Yes. So, again, feel free to email me if anyone has a question on promoted listings, and I can email you the link, or feel free to just Google eBay promoted listings. And once you land on that link, you'll see exactly how to use it. You'll see the ability to do bulk uploads, and you'll see reporting options.
Sure. And a last question, as per your experience, what are the topmost categories to sell?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I've seen merchants who are doing $1 million or $2 million or $5 million a year in certain categories that, the rest of us might think, oh, well, that merchant's selling $3 million a year selling baseball cards, or selling used records, or selling, pottery. So, I mean, there's you name it, there's a billion items for sale on eBay. We did 88 billion in sales last year. There's obviously all the usual suspects. We're doing billions of dollars a year in electronics and home and garden and all the big categories. But there's also many subcategories where we're doing significant sales. So I would just say, if you're in the e-commerce business and there's an e-commerce reason for you to be selling these items, then there's probably a big reason to sell them on eBay as well.
Oh, thanks so much for your answer, Aaron. And so that's it for today, I guess. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for attending this webinar. And if you have any questions, you can surely drop us an email on info@channelsale.com.